Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Game Design Archive with Edward and Ludwig. I'm Ludwig, and as always, I'm here with Edward. Hello, Edward.
Hello.
Today, we're going to talk about two things that are related. It's context sensitivity and the dreaded famous yellow paint.
Oof.
Yes. So, we're going to start by talking about context sensitivity. And of course, first of all, we need to define what it is. And it's a bit iffy because we discussed it like before the episode, and it's up to debate. But essentially, what we think is, or well, what I think at least, is that context sensitivity is when the result of the player's input depends on the context in the game. Now, that doesn't really mean anything, right? So I'll give a like an actual example here. So. Let's take the famous example, press F to pay respects in Call of Duty. I don't which one was it? Advanced Warfare?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So basically what context sensitivity means is that the game tells you to press F to pay respects, and then you press F to pay respects. The opposite of that, context insensitivity, I guess, would be if you could press F to pay respects no matter where in the game you are, right? Would you say you agree, Edward?
Or you could say, I mean, it's a question of definition, I guess. But you could say it's also that F is exclusively for paying respect, but not necessarily that you can always do it, right?
Yeah.
So the button doesn't share context-sensitive inputs, I guess.
Yeah.
Which again,
Yes.
is arguable, I guess. Yeah, arguable, I guess.
Yeah, of course, it's a bit iffy because it's not like a very well-defined term.
Yeah.
But essentially, this is what we mean when we say context sensitivity, at least. And it seems like when you're listening to designer circles that the sort of sentiment towards context-sensitive things are fairly negative. And I guess we're here to say that we don't necessarily agree. Right, Edward?
Yes.
You have something to say about it, don't you?
Do I? Well, I guess we discussed... We had a discussion again before the podcast here. How to define this, right? And it's kind of hard because you could argue that almost all the actions are context sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Because, if you jump... and you can't double jump or let's say you can double jump, well, that's technically context sensitive, right? You can only do the second jump in the air, or if you can't jump 2 times, then it's context sensitive because you can't use it in the air or whatever, right? But I guess if we define it, like I said earlier, where it's this same button does one thing, then maybe that covers it better, right? Because essentially with the jump thing, it's like it either does the thing or not, right? So like a context-sensitive thing would then be like, well, you can jump on ledges or something, right? With the jump button as well, right? If there is a ledge. So it does 2 things with the same button. And the argument would then be that, well, modern controllers have a lot of buttons, right? And that's true. And in some cases, I think I agree with it. Sometimes it's just... what do you say, like finicky or whatever, like it's just, it doesn't add anything that you bind a thing to the same button, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes that's like part of what makes it interesting, I guess. It's very, what do you say, case by case thing, right?
Yeah, because I think... when a lot of people think context sensitivity, they think of something like, a generic press X to interact, and then, what happens when you press X to interact depends on what you're interacting with.
Yes.
That's a very classic example of, like, basically all AAA, like, games have that today. And, I do agree that that's not necessarily good, but I do think that it's important to... separate the like systematic versus unsystematic context sensitivity, and now we're getting into abstract territory here. But I have an example to explain what I mean. So I've been playing a little bit of Final Fight recently. It's a beat 'em up for those of you who don't know what it is. It's like a really old arcade game. I don't know if it's the first beat 'em up, but I think it popularized the genre at least.
I think there was beat 'em ups before that, but
I think so too. Whatever. But the thing about this game is that you have a few moves, and it depends on the character because there are several characters. But for the character I've been playing, he has a normal punch, he can jump, and he can do like a spin kick. That's like the input you can do. So like there are separate buttons for all of those actions.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's another action which it has an input, but it shares its input with the normal attack button, right? So you have a grab, which means that the way the grab works is that if you are, because beat 'em ups, they have like the Z-axis, right? Like the simulated Z-axis where you move up and down. And if you move down on an enemy, so you are inside them, and you press attack, you will grab them and then throw them away if you press one more time, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the exact input. And that's context sensitive, right? Because you use the normal attack button, and you can only do it in the right context, which is when you're standing inside an enemy.
Yes.
Now, this is good context sensitivity in my opinion, because it's systematic and it's interesting. And the reason why it's systematic is because it's based on the system, right? It's like if your character is inside another character, whenever you press attack, you will grab them. And like, there's not like, there doesn't need to be any interactable grab thing that you need to like look at and aim at or whatever. It's like if you're inside him, you press the grab and you always grab him. Now, I see already what some of you are thinking. Counter argument here: why isn't the grab just another button? Mm-hmm. And then you can just miss the grab if you're not inside someone. Well, there is a very important distinction here, because the consequence of the grab being on the same button as the attack is that you can't attack in situations where you can grab, right?
Right. Yeah, that's. I was actually gonna bring that up, because you could take what you said even further with. Mm-hmm. You could say that, well, why don't you bind it to a separate button that doesn't do anything unless you are in the grab position, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it tries to grab, it's like it just does nothing if you press it, right? Until it's in this context.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that, no, actually, there is a point to it, which is you can't do the other action, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the thing in Final Fight is that when you hit someone with an attack, you stun them. Mm. And so if there's like 3 enemies and they're like standing in a row very close to each other, if you grab the first enemy, or like if you're standing inside the first enemy and you would be able to punch, like in a theoretical example where you could punch, like the input was separate, right? You get what I'm trying to say. Then you could like punch and stun all 3 of them. But in the actual game, if there are like 3 guys in a row very close to each other, if you want to punch, you can't. So you're fucked, because like you need to grab him, and then you're like open to being punched by one of the other guys. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that creates interesting, like the context sensitivity creates an interesting gameplay interaction where it's like, if you don't want to grab someone, you don't want to be in a position where you can grab someone.
Yeah.
So you only want to be in a position where you can grab someone when you want to grab someone. And that creates really interesting gameplay, right?
Yes. I mean, you could make the argument. This is gonna sound silly, right? But because the problem with context sensitivity is that it can get I don't know what the good word is for it, finicky or whatever, right? It's like you do the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? Mm-hmm. So you could, in theory, take your argument and take it one step further and say, well, what if you have 2 buttons, but only one of them works at a time? Mm-hmm. So if you try, like if your intention is to grab, you press the grab button, but if you can't grab, it's not gonna do anything. Mm-hmm. But you can't press the attack button either if you can't grab, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you would.
Well, then it's
you see what I'm
then
saying,
those right? But then those 2 buttons are still context sensitive, right?
Yes,
So it's
but
still
that would
context
actually solve one of the issues with the context sensitivity, which is that it might do the input you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Like a good example of this is our favorite game, the Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, in Dark Souls there's something called a backstab, right?
Yeah.
Which is context sensitive. You use the attack button at a specific spot behind the character, right? And it does a backstab. And the problem with it, I mean, it's not a problem, right? But the thing is, you need to be a bit, careful when you do it, because if you do it just one, step to the left or right, your character is gonna do an attack instead. And in that game, attacks are very commitment heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So then you don't get the backstab, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be very careful with how you do it. But you could also argue that that's a good thing. I don't know. Because otherwise you could just spam the backstab button if there was a separate backstab button until it triggers, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think both can work, I guess.
Yeah, that was one thing I was about to say. Like, in the Final Fight example, if you're in a position where it's like unclear if you're gonna grab or punch, then that's sort of part of the gameplay, right? Because pressing the attack button then means a risk. And obviously you could argue that, like, well, that's not interesting gameplay. Yeah, sure, but maybe you're right. And you could I could definitely see situations where, like, stuff like that is problematic. I would say that the Dark Souls backstab is a bit too janky for my liking.
I think it's a skill issue.
Yes, probably. But, like, so yeah, it's like, it's still context sensitive though. That's sort of my point.
Yeah.
And, like, sure, yeah, you could put different inputs on it, whatever. But, like, the core idea of what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that the fact that the grab is context sensitive is interesting. Because it has interesting implications.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, a lot of the time, like, examples of this that people bring up that they don't like is like the ladder thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh, you need to press a button to climb the ladder.
Yep.
Versus, like, Half-Life or whatever, or like like
Source games
games where you just walk up to the ladder and it climbs up, right? I don't know how in those contexts, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I think it might be like in those cases. I feel like it does. How do you say it? Like, it's not as interesting, I guess. That's I think press the button.
I think the problem there is more that the ladder isn't necessarily gameplay, right? It's just like level traversal.
Yeah.
So it kind of becomes lame. Because, like, well, actually, that's not true. Maybe for other games, but especially specifically thinking about Source games.
Mm-hmm.
I play a bit of CS, and CS has ladders. I think, I don't know how many of the, like, competitive maps still have ladders. I know Nuke has one.
Yeah.
I think, what's the Vertigo? It's not an active duty map. Whoa, whatever. But, like, and I do think that the fact that they are context insensitive is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get, well, actually, are they really context insensitive though, right?
I don't know. Because you don't have to press a context sensitive button. That's why this is a bit of a fuzzy topic, I guess.
Yeah. So you could argue that it's not context sensitive because there's no special input for it, but you could also argue that it's context sensitive because, like, you're not able to move upwards in CS unless you're near a ladder, right?
Yeah.
But let's forget the semantics and just say that let's say it is context sensitive, right? Or, well, it isn't. Sorry, that's what I mean. So, okay, I'm confusing myself.
Yeah, how does CS work actually? Does it if you're close to a ladder, what happens if you press backwards?
You move back. Well, it depends.
So you need to aim up to climb up.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're making the direction context sensitive by saying
Yes.
if you are close to a ladder and then you can move your camera in all directions.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just XY plane.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yes.
Or XC plane, maybe. I don't know how they've defined it.
Yeah. I think it's XY in source.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so let's argue that, a ladder where you have to go up and press X to start climbing the ladder is context sensitive, and the CS ladder is not.
Yeah.
I would say that the CS ladder is interesting because it's like actually a gameplay element. So, for example, the ladder on Nuke, right? For those of you that play CS, you know that it leads up to heaven, which like if that's like a popular spot for counter-terrorists to hide, right? When they're protecting the A site. So if you're a terrorist, you can move up the ladder, but like it becomes a risk because when you're climbing the ladder, you're super inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
So if the counter-terrorist is ready for you to like climb up the ladder, you're basically dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so it becomes sort of interesting in that way because there's like actual gameplay implications to the ladder. And I think that if the ladder was like press X to climb the ladder, it wouldn't have been as interesting because it would have been like complete suicide.
That is what people are arguing, right? They are arguing that the ladder with the button is not interesting because what happens is there's some loot there or something, and they try to pick up the loot, and the button is context sensitive, so they're climbing the ladder instead of picking up the loot or whatever, right? And that's why context sensitivity is bad, right?
Yeah,
that's the argument.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Yeah, well,
that's sort of what I'm trying to say.
Not that it's bad, but that.
Well, yeah, in that context.
Yeah. So the problem with this argument, I guess, is that it's not good or bad. It's just context sensitive.
Yeah, exactly. Very good way to put it. Is context sensitivity good? No, it's context sensitive. And I guess speaking of that, maybe we should move on to when context sensitivity is bad. Or do you want to say anything more about context sensitivity? Or when it's good?
We can move on.
Yeah, so I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, and it's, well, obviously we've talked, you just mentioned an example where it's like with the chest and the ladder or whatever. But one thing that we want to talk about in relation to context sensitivity is yellow paint, right? And I doubt most of you who are listening haven't heard about this before, but in case someone hasn't, yellow paint is this phenomenon where like level designers of AAA games are like putting yellow paint wherever they want you to go so that you don't get lost.
And it's also not always paint. It's like the cables or the rope is yellow or whatever, right?
Yeah. Basically yellow things to guide the player where they want to go.
Yeah.
And the general sentiment of that, from what I've heard at least, is that it's bad. Which I agree with.
Well, I don't know if that's true. Like, I think most designers say it's good, right?
I think it's sort of a case where like AAA designers say it's good, but like people who play games say it's bad.
Yeah,
like gamers complain about it,
then
but
a
like
lot
designers
of gamers are like always defending designers, so they probably agree, not because they agree, but because they don't have their own opinion, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
At least from like people I've spoken to, yellow paint is seen as bad.
Yeah.
And like if you look at video essays on YouTube or whatever, the most of them say that it's bad.
I don't know. Some of them probably say like, "Oh, it's a necessary evil" or something.
True.
I don't know. I haven't looked at a lot of yellow paint essays.
No, me neither. To be fair, but like, whatever. Essentially, we want to say that it sucks. And why is that? Well,
before you go there, by the way,
yes,
you should bring up the best counterexample, which is Mirror's Edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for those that haven't played Mirror's Edge is a game where you run fast through the level, and every like, what do you say, like every interactable object in the game is red, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is sort of similar to yellow paint, but I would argue it's actually quite different for two reasons. one is it's a game where you're supposed to go fast, so it makes more sense to guide the player, which is actually an important point, because a lot of these games that have the yellow paint are open world games, or like, you know, games where you should have to explore the level, right? You're not supposed to go fast through the levels, right? Because in Mirror's Edge, I could see the argument that, well, you know, like there's not really any point to not telling the player where to go in Mirror's Edge, right? Because the player is just like the obstacles is the right. You get what I'm saying?
The obstacles are the obstacle.
Yeah. But also, it's not putting yellow paint everywhere. It's using a language which works really well for them, like stylistically, which is that all the interactable objects are red, right? It's not there's random yellow paint everywhere. It's like no, all interactables are red. So it doesn't necessarily actually tell you where to go. It's telling you can interact with this object, right?
Yeah. And I think one important distinction between Mirror's Edge and like games that use yellow paint is that the red color of everything is like systematic in a way. It's like, it's sort of what you just said. It's like the red isn't pointing which way to go. It's saying, okay, I'm basically just saying what you just said, but like the important point is that like it's not necessarily there to guide you, it's to tell you what you can do.
Yeah, but a lot of the time it does guide you. Because
yes, but it ends up guiding you. Yeah. And that sort of, I guess, what I wanted to clarify about your point is that like the reason that yellow paint is bad is because it is unsystematic. Like it's not like in Mirror's Edge. It's a crutch. It's like the level designers designed a level and people can't find their way around the level, and so they just slap yellow paint on it or like yellow rope or whatever, and then like to solve that problem instead of designing a level where players aren't getting lost, if they don't want the player to get lost, right?
Yeah, the Mirror's Edge designers designed a visual language, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
How to interpret the environment.
Yeah.
In their, like, I don't know, it's like sci-fi, right? Sort of like close future world or whatever. I don't remember, right? That's what it says.
Yeah.
And like everything is like very clean and white, right?
Yeah.
And then they use
except
red
for
all the like context stuff or whatever. And like if you look at the older games, it was like, I understand what the designers are going for with the yellow paint. It's just, I don't think it's working. Because like if you look at older games, they were less realistic, which means that the objects can be more obvious, right? But the problem with modern games is that they have these contradicting, I don't know what to call it, like you mentioned earlier, which is a perfect example. Like their environments is supposed to look really realistic, so they'll have like doors and ladders and stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's not objects. It's just, you know, or like it's just
it's
props,
like
right?
environmental props.
Yeah. So there's no like, because in old game it's like everything is a cube with a texture
except the ladder. So it's very obvious where you're supposed to go, right? Yeah.
So I'm not saying they don't need a visual language. I'm just saying the yellow paint is kind of ugly and doesn't work. Right?
Yeah,
it's very immersive breaking, actually.
Yeah, because the problem with this like door example that you have is that like, sorry. The problem is that the level is cluttered with random crap that looks interactable but isn't.
Yeah.
And so now you need something to tell you what's interactable.
Yeah.
But like what they should do is make a level that isn't filled with uninteractable crap that looks interactable. Yeah. It's like that would have solved the problem.
Yeah, and I mean there's games like I mean basically all games that don't have yellow paint, right? They solve this anyways, right? Even if they have clutter, they're still like they have visual languages. They're just more subtle, right? They'll have like all the, I mean, it's basically yellow paint, right? But it's like no, all the chests look this way or whatever, and so you know that this chest is an interactable chest, right, or whatever. Yeah, that's technically the same thing as yellow paint. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, or like, you know, in slightly older games, like if the doors that weren't interactable were like completely flat with like an ugly texture on them.
Yeah.
But then the actual interactable doors are like 3D models and stuff like that. So yeah, you could solve it that way too. And I guess, yeah.
But then again, like, that's sort of like, I don't know if I get why AAA designers need to solve that, because they want to make photorealistic games. But from a gameplay perspective, I don't know if I even want that. I would rather they just didn't put doors everywhere, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because or they make all the doors interactable. Fuck it, right? And then it's like, okay, you can break all the doors for some reason. I don't know. Maybe terrible, but you know what I mean.
Although, counter example, I don't remember which game, but I think it's actually like Half-Life or something, where like all the doors are, or at least a lot of them are interactable, but like
they're locked or something.
They're locked, yeah. So it's like you need to like go around and check every door if you can go there or not, and it's like super annoying. That's super annoying. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So like,
but it's still. I think even though that sounds, I would probably try to like solve that somehow, like, I don't know, like printing locked or something.
Yeah, doing like, you know, one of those toilet red versus white lock thing.
No, but like, I think I like when you say that, like, it sounds nice actually, but not in practice, like playing it, right?
Yeah.
But I prefer that to having like random doors everywhere that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I would just try to figure out a way to solve like some sort of HUD element, right? Maybe that can tell you that no, this door is locked without you going up to all the doors or something. I don't know. Like some way to not have to, you know, click all the doors.
Yeah. So it's like you could go up and feel the handle, but like you know that it's gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. Is that what you mean? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do that with ladders. It's like, no, this ladder is slippery. You can't climb this ladder.
Just have goo on the ladder.
Yeah. Oh no, so it's like all the ladders you can't climb are yellow.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to specifically yellow paint, I guess it's like I wrote down this example of like a game where climbing isn't systematic needs something to tell the player what is climbable, and that's sort of one of the major problems with yellow paint, right? It's like,
but because the perfect bit, because like we said, it's like, oh, ladders look a certain way in like source engine games or whatever, and you can climb them, right? So they have like a visual language, even though
I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think some older source games have ladders that you can't climb and stuff like that.
Fair enough. I don't know.
But anyway, going back to what I said, it's like, you know, the classic example is like, you know, something like Far Cry or what are they called? Like Uncharted, where it's like you can climb up ledges and they're all marked in yellow so that you know that you can climb up the ledges. And like the problem with that is that the climbing of the ledge is not something systematic, right? It's like, it's a level design crutch in a way, where it's like...
Yeah, there's no visual language.
Yeah. It's essentially, you know, going back to context sensitivity. It's like the worst kind of context sensitivity there is. Because like you walk up to the ledge and then you press X to jump or whatever, but then because you're near the ledge and it's marked yellow and it's very fancy and nice, you climb up the ledge instead.
Yeah.
So like that's sort of how it ties back into context sensitivity, right? It's like that's bad context sensitivity. Because what you should do is you should make climbing, like if you want your game to have climbing, you should make climbing gameplay that like doesn't need yellow paint to tell you where you can climb, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's an issue in that as well, because I don't remember. I think it was like a GDC talk or something where the God of War devs talking about like how they decided on the height of all this stuff. And I haven't played God of War, so I don't know exactly how it works, but if I understand it correctly, like the new one, I mean, you can't like jump or anything. It's just like you move and the game just knows like, oh, you can like get up this ledge or whatever, right? And in a way that's actually context sensitivity, in a way that's context sensitive, right? Because it's like, oh, you just walk up to everything and everything is context sensitive. And in that sense, that's less interesting, right? Than just, oh, well, there's all these different heights of blocks and you have a jump. And like, it's not natural. It's like, You get what I'm saying? Like it's like
Yeah.
it does a check and like, oh, is it this height? Okay, now you can climb this, or it does the climb, right? Whereas it's more interesting if it's like, well, the designer placed a bunch of like blocks at different heights, and you can, and your jump is this high, and then right, depending on where you jump and blah blah blah, right? It changes how high you can get or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how it ties into what you just said, but
well, I think it's sort of related because I'm not sure because like you I haven't played God of War, but I feel like I would prefer the way God of War does it to like Far Cry. But I'm not sure.
how does Far Cry do it, by the way?
Well, Far Cry is like yellow paint and you press space to like climb. And like I think the thing about the God of War thing that you just explained, I think the thing about that makes me sort of not dislike it as much as the Far Cry example is because the developers aren't pretending that the climbing matters.
Right. Yeah.
It's
no,
like
they're trying to make it just part of the movement.
look cool.
Yeah. You just move around. Yeah.
It's like
not
the reason you climb. Yeah, the reason you climb is because it looks cool when Kratos flexes his muscle and climbs or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like the gameplay of climbing doesn't matter, which is like if you look at something like Far Cry, the gameplay of climbing doesn't matter there, but yet they make you walk up to the yellow ledge and climb. Yeah. And like, so in a way, I sort of respect the way God of War does it, where it's like, okay, this is just like for you to move, like you just need to move past this. This doesn't matter.
Right, but it would be better if it was a gameplay element.
If it was, yeah, exactly.
Had to like, I don't know. Like
or if it didn't have any
like a perfect counterexample here is like something like Baby Steps or something, right?
Yeah,
where it's like you're literally balancing on the the like the those balancing things in like Uncharted or whatever, right? Where you walk like along and it's like it's just walking and you press forward, right? Or maybe you tilt the stick or something to not fall. I don't know. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. Whereas in Baby Steps, it's like no, you need to like put your foot down or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that should be the game in like God of War, obviously, but you know what I mean. In God of War, you could argue it's just. I mean, the thing is that the God of War thing could work for God of War if the combat was the focus, right? So I'm not saying you can't do what they do, but if you want to do interesting like platforming, that's not the way to achieve it.
Yeah, if you want to do platforming gameplay, you can't have the platforming be automatic.
Yeah. Because
then it becomes Assassin's Creed, which isn't really about platforming. I
mean, that's also kind of automatic, isn't it? You like walk.
It is nowadays. Like in the newer Assassin's Creed games, it's completely automatic. Yeah. Like before, it was kind of automatic. Now it's like completely. Yeah. And so it's just pure like animation. Wow, the animations are so cool and like the movement or whatever. And it's like there's no gameplay. Yeah. You're just moving around.
And to be fair to those designers, that could be fine if the gameplay is like not about. The movement there, right? If it's like no, there's interesting other interactions with like how the combat works or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think those games have that either. So. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Assassin's Creed doesn't really have any interesting gameplay at all. So. Yeah.
Although the old multiplayer was pretty good. It's too bad they stopped doing that.
You wanted to talk.
Yeah, I guess we can bring up Thief in all of this because, like, this was a while back, but they did a new Thief. Wow, it's like I don't remember how old is it.
2013 or something.
It's at least 10 years old now.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of people talking about. Not a lot, but there was discussion about like how there was this grappling hook, I think. And you like it's like there's this marker and you click a button and you jump over and it's like super not scripted, but like you can do it in these spots.
Yeah.
And usually people don't mind that, but because it was Thief in that context, people like started discussing it because Thief is like this really interesting game where I feel like it was very engineering driven, like it's a lot of like engine stuff that because it was Looking Glass, right? Yeah, and they did like a bunch of stuff like that. They like pioneered a lot of stuff that people do in modern engines. If anyone has heard of entity component systems and stuff like that, they did stuff like that. But the point is that Thief and their other games were very systematically driven, which is like instead of saying like, oh, you can place this grappling thing or whatever, they would like, oh, this is like this wall is made of some material and therefore you can interact with it in this way, right? So it's like maybe you can like shoot an arrow on it if it's wood, but not if it's stone, right? And then you can have an arrow with a rope and then you can jump over, right? So they naturally created, obviously they can put them where they want, so they can force players to do certain things, but it's not forced, right? It's not, oh, you need to do the grappling here. It's like they are putting in environmental like systematic things that you can use in like together with your tools, right? Like another great example in that game, because it's a stealth game, there's like noise levels, right? How loud your steps are, and it matters a lot. Like if you're walking on like what are they called in English? Like stone. It's not stone, you know what I mean? Like
rock.
No, like floors,
Cobblestone?
like indoors floors.
Yeah.
It's
like
very
marble
loud.
floors or whatever?
Yeah. They're like very loud versus like a carpet, and then like it might like affect a lot of stuff, right? Because it's like, oh, you can't walk here because like everyone in the building will hear you, versus, oh no, you can walk here because there's a carpet here or something, right? Very interesting stuff. And I feel like because of a lot of the modern details, right, part of that is sort of lost, because a lot of at least I feel like this, like the early 3D era games were built with tools. They usually used like BSP tools. I don't know if you know anything about that, but
yeah, a little bit.
So, well, a lot of because these days a lot of it is like they make models in like modeling tools and then they import them, right? And a lot of the older games were, they would make the level in like a level editor, right?
Yeah. They would
they would actually
geometry.
place the geometry in the level editor, and they would have like materials with properties. So it would be like I said, where it's like, oh, this is a wood wall or whatever, right? And then that like everything would be systematically tied. So it would be like, oh, I placed this wooden floor, and that means like you get all the properties of that. So it's like, oh, you can, like I said, you can shoot an arrow and it sticks to it. It makes the wood sound. Maybe it can burn or whatever, right? I don't know. Maybe not. It depends on the game, right? But you see what I'm saying? Like it's very systematic in like how these things. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that sort of. Also, you get the visual language for free there, right? Because it's like, oh, because it's this thing that sounds this way with this thing, right? Then it works this way, and therefore you can use it in this interesting way.
Yeah.
Whereas in the modern stuff, it's like, oh, it's all these static objects that doesn't do anything, right? So you can't tell.
Yeah, it's like pretty interesting because like I know someone who was like pretty good with the old source level editor. Hammer, yeah. And it's like the way you make levels in that is like so old school, because he like would literally like put in quads, and then he would like sculpt a box out of it, and then he would put like the wood box material on it, and that's how he made a wooden box, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a prop that you put in like you do in Unreal Engine or whatever. It's very, very old school, and as you said, it makes the levels more systematic, right?
Yeah, and it's actually sorry, go ahead first.
Yes. Well, it also solves the problem that we spoke about previously, with the doors and like the prop clutter and whatever. It's like if you're doing levels that way, you're making like very basic, simple geometry, right? And then you don't have the problem of like, is this door interactable or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, interestingly, like you look at modern games, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? And you look at old games, and there seems seemingly less, like there's more big blocks or whatever. But I think if you could look at the games from like I don't know what word to use, like from a code perspective or like a object perspective, right? Not from a visual perspective. You would actually realize that a lot of modern games are extremely static. Like there is almost nothing, like it's mostly just mesh walls, right, that you can't walk into. Whereas old games have a lot of like dynamic props or whatever that naturally come from the like how they did the levels or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I feel, funny enough, I feel like modern 2D games actually are better at this. Not all of them, but some of them. I guess because they like try to mimic the retro stuff, like the pixel art and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they use like tile maps and stuff, and so you get that naturally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, a good example of that is Spelunky.
Yeah,
Where it's like-
Spelunky is the perfect example, but
Yeah.
Even games that are less systematic, right, still have some of it. Like they have a visual language because they use tiles or whatever that helps them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Interesting. I wanted to point out something about Thief when you were talking about it, because I never thought about it that way. But like when you described everything in Thief, you know, going back to the original topic of this video, a lot of the things that you described are context sensitive, right? It's like you're walking on wooden floor, you hear the wooden floor sound steps. You're walking on carpet, you hear the carpet sound step.
Yeah.
Or you can shoot your arrow in the wooden wall, but you can't shoot it in the rock wall.
Yeah.
It's like all of that is context sensitive stuff, right?
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
But it's very interesting gameplay. And so it goes back to this that we were saying like in the beginning of the episode, that like context sensitivity is good, you know. It's like it creates interesting gameplay. It's just when it's bad, it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
that was what I want. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just gonna continue the point there, or like the yellow paint discussion. Like I, to be honest with you, I don't have a perfect answer for these designers, except that maybe not focusing as much on photorealism, I guess. And also, it's a bit, I don't know what to, like, it's a bit on the nose or whatever what the expression is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think, like, they have done some tests and like, oh, people need this actually, and do they? I mean, obviously it's harder to know where to go, but maybe they could do it a little bit more subtly, right?
Yeah.
Not like.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that most people have with it, because it's not necessarily bad that you want people to find their way around your level, right?
No, and like even good games do that. Like they'll put like more light or whatever where you're supposed to go. Like subtle things like that, right? Or like they will color things differently to make your attention go there, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah, so like the end goal of like wanting to guide the player is not what the problem is. Like that's fine. It's like the way you're doing it is sort of, you know, it's lazy and it's lame, and you know, it's sort of not really, but it's sort of like insulting to the player's intelligence. Like, oh yeah, just follow everything that's yellow. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I guess it is, because it becomes very like, you know, well, yeah, it does, because it's like the developers are telling me that they don't trust me to find my way around. Like, they're like, you are stupid, follow this yellow stuff.
Yeah. And like, I mean, even if it's true, it's still rude. Yeah. Right? Even if it's like, no, look, you can't find your way, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Make it less. I mean, an arrow pointing the way is less rude, in my opinion, right? Than the fucking yellow paint, because it's like, oh no, we're trying to, like, because it's not subtle. That's the thing. Like, if the game doesn't want you to explore, right? If it's not an exploration game, it just wants you to tell you where to go, then tell the player where to go with some element, like an arrow over your head or whatever, or a compass, right? But this paint thing is like, no, it's there in their mind. It's like, oh, it's subtle because it's paint in the environment, but it's not subtle at all. It just I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially because everything that shows the way is yellow, right? It's like, it would be better if you varied it, right?
Yes.
But yeah, that sort of brings me to another point that I wanted to make. And while I've mentioned that I do think it's not necessarily a bad thing to want the player not to get lost, I also want to point out that it's not necessarily a bad thing that the player gets lost.
Absolutely not.
And the sort of example game I have for this is Gothic. So I've been playing a bit of Gothic recently, and I'm very on the fence about the game. I'll have to play it a little bit more, but I don't think it's for me. But one thing that I do respect about that game is that it literally just throws you into the world and like tells you to figure it out yourself. And it's very refreshing because a lot of like RPGs and like stuff in similar genres are very much like, oh, you have a quest marker and you have a massive map with 20 different question marks that you explore, and then you like fill in the like checklist, and wow, you're such a good boy or whatever. And like Gothic is like, okay, you're dropped into like some weird puddle, and then you like walk from there and you find your way on your own.
Yeah.
And it's like very refreshing. And sometimes you stumble into a dinosaur that's 20 levels above you and like get wrecked, noob. And
then
I
you
respect
go fight
that.
smaller dinosaurs for 15 hours so you can beat the big dinosaur.
Exactly.
I don't know. I agree with you. The gameplay, I'm also on the fence, but it's interesting for sure.
Yeah. But like I respect that a lot, and I think it would be very interesting if more games did that, because you know, being lost is gameplay in a way. It's not always the desired gameplay, but it is gameplay. And I think Gothic is an example where like being lost is actually good gameplay.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to like explore. It's like, oh shit, I can't go here because there's a dangerous orc here. Maybe I can go here. Oh, there's only like a small dog or whatever. Yeah, I'll kill that dog. Woohoo, XP for me, right?
Yeah, there's... sorry, go ahead first.
No, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna... there is actually a point about that I don't think you and I have discussed it before, but I've discussed it with other people before, which is you get like it's more immersive if you don't have the markers and stuff, because you'll get like so like if you play like Assassin's Creed or whatever. No, that's a bad example of a quest game, but like an MMO or whatever, and it's like you take the quest, you go there, you do the thing, you go back, right? And you don't think about it.
Yeah.
But in a game like Gothic, it's like, oh no, I lost my, like, you need to, like, what does he even want, right? No, he lost his something, right? I don't know. He lost his dagger or something, and it looks like this or whatever. And sure, maybe those details are not that important, right? But then he'll go like, oh, it's by that rock that looks like a banana or something, right?
Yeah.
And then you need to like figure out where that rock like a banana is, and then you like remember that, like, because like, you know, context of like the map and stuff, right? So it's like, oh yeah, the big banana rock, that's by the like the big something else, the tree that's got no leaves or something. I don't know, you know what I mean, right? And then you like you will be more immersed in the world because you're actually looking at the game instead of like the map or whatever, and you're also listening to what people are saying because you need that to help you know where to go, right?
Yeah, and I think I guess we're going on a slight level design tangent here, but like I think the level design in Piranha Bytes games is very good. Like because I've played Risen before, Risen 1, and then I didn't play 2 or 3, and now I'm playing Gothic 1. And like the thing about those games is that like the levels are like super small, and they're like super easy to find your way around in compared to like modern
big games,
RPGs like The Witcher or whatever. So it's like you don't need the map. Like you can buy maps where it's like you see the map of the world or whatever, but like you don't need the map because people give you directions, and then the map is like small enough and simple enough for you to follow those directions.
They also make better maps because they know they need to guide you there.
Exactly. And so it becomes very interesting because, you know, someone says, oh, you need to go to the new camp and talk to Steve. I'm like, oh yeah, the new camp, Steve, I know where he is. I need to go like up there and then to the right and then to the left. Because the map is like a manageable size and it's well designed, so I can keep that stuff in my head.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, in modern games, it's like, oh shit, the new camp, Steve, press M and bring up the map, and then I zoom out. Oh, there's the quest marker. Okay, I'll just follow the quest marker on my compass on the top of my screen. It's like...
But I would argue even if the map is small, if you were just guided everywhere, you wouldn't remember where it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. I just wanted to say that like the level design in Piranha Bytes games is good. I like it.
Yeah, they have some work to do on the like not feedback, but like the punch of the animations and stuff. It looks very like I don't know.
Yeah,
like you do very... like you spin your sword, and it's like you're not spinning that.
Nothing
sword.
happens.
Yeah. No, or like the character is doing a 360, but like that's not. Yeah.
Or it's like you take damage, but the only indication is that your HP bar goes
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
It's like, yeah. Gameplay-wise, I'm not sold on Gothic.
Mhm.
I'll have to play it a little bit more. But
They have their
design-wise,
style
yes.
though, which I
Yes,
respect.
yes.
I prefer that over modern stuff where they just,
Yes.
you know, they don't have any style at all.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, we have gone on a slight tangent here, but that's fine. Is there anything else you want to say, or do you think we've made our point?
I think we've made our point.
Yeah. So, do I have the honor of summing up, perhaps?
Yes.
So, in today's episode, we spoke about context sensitivity. We came to the conclusion that the definition of context sensitivity is a bit unclear, but essentially we
it's not good or bad, it's context sensitive.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main takeaway here. If someone asks you what you think about context sensitivity, you respond, it's not good or bad, it's context sensitive. That's a fantastic like buzzword or phrase or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, because it depends. There are interesting gameplay interactions to be had. For example, in Final Fight, where you can only grab people when you're standing in them. But when you're standing in them, you can't punch someone because that's the same button as grabbing. And that creates interesting gameplay. But then there's also bad kind of context sensitivity, talking about yellow paint and like climbing ledges in Far Cry or whatever, where like, it's just like lazy bad level design and there's like no systematic gameplay behind it. It's just like traversal and it's pointless and it sucks. Then we talked once again a bit about context sensitivity with Thief, but also about systematic level design, right? Where it's like the materials of the floor or the walls or whatever means that you can interact with them in different way and they make different sounds and stuff like that. And that's also context sensitive, of course. Then we also mentioned this problem of like the problem that yellow paint is trying to solve in a way is that, all of the levels are made with like hyper-realistic, shitty prop clutter. So like there are 20 doors, but only one of them is interactable. So of course you need yellow paint for the player to understand which one is interactable, because like otherwise they need to check every door. And like don't design levels like that. Just make the doors that are interactable, or like make them the only doors, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, the end goal of wanting to guide the player is not necessarily bad. But also, as we talked about just recently with Gothic, it's fine to be lost as well. That can be gameplay. Did I miss anything in my summary?
Well, that was pretty much it.
Okay. I guess that's it for today. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
As usual.
I want to be
Yeah?
a bit, I don't know what the word is, snarky here and say it's
Mhm.
ironic because last week we talked about
Mhm.
a topic that we felt that people don't care enough about.
Mhm.
And then no one cared. But yeah, my point is you should go watch our previous video because it's really
Yes,
interesting.
it's more interesting than it might seem,
Yes.
perhaps, from the title,
Yes.
because it is very interesting and it's important.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks as usual for the support, and leave
Yes.
a like and a comment. And if you disagree with us, please say so. If you agree with us, please also say so. We just want comments.
Yes.
And yeah, that's it for today. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye.